most of you guys will know that Stormzy ran into a little bit of a controversy issue relating to his stance on Palestine, and then deciding to kind of, turn around and change his mind when he endorsed, or he had that collaboration with McDonald's. And now he's running into a bit of an issue now because people are responding pretty negatively to this new track that he put out called Sorry Rach, where he kind of pokes fun at the fact that people don't like him anymore because of his changing in stance. And I just wanted to kind of briefly explain what happened. So maybe, I don't know, maybe last year sometime, Stormzy decided, without any provocation, without any kind of pressure, he decided to put this post up on his Instagram, basically supporting Palestine, where he says, I hope everyone's good. Some fleeting thoughts. Number one, free Palestine. Number two, in the future, if there's ever a clear injustice in the world, no matter how big or small, 100 times out of 100, I'll be on the side of the oppressed, unequivocally, as I always have been. Social media is a brilliant way to stand up for what is right. There's also a whole load of other ways to do this. It's a picture of him on his phone with his golf clubs chilling, right? So it's a pretty nice post, right? Free Palestine, whatever it may be. Someone, especially of a celebrity of his sort of status. So everyone kind of was like, yeah, cool. Big up Stormzy for saying what he said on his platform about Palestine. That doesn't have to, but the fact that he did is fucking sick. But then for whatever reason, well, we know why, but for some reason he decided to turn around and change his mind a year later and decided to do a collaboration with McDonald's, who a lot of people now are boycotting because of their ties to the IDF and Israeli government, and obviously what's going on with the genocide over there in Palestine. So people are going out their way to boycott it, especially if you're, vocally pro-Palestine. You're not going to endorse McDonald's because of their, links to Israel. Stormzy decides to link up with McDonald's and do one of their collaboration meal things, where they link up with an artist and essentially ask them what their go-to meal is if they order a McDonald's. And Stormzy did a special one where, nuggets, McFlurry, fries, and a Sprite. And allegedly, according to people online, the word is that he got paid 4.5 million for this deal, for this collaboration, for this endorsement. Now, whether it's 4.5 million, whether it's 1 million, whether it's 10 grand, that's not really the problem. I think the problem for people online, especially the people who are super pro-Palestine, is that he went out of his way to say he's pro-Palestine, and then basically did an about face and changed his mind in the most, jarring way possible by endorsing a company who a lot of people are boycotting because of their ties to the Israeli government, and because of them basically placing responsibility on McDonald's for the ongoing genocide that's occurring over there in Palestine. So people are rightfully outraged about this, right? I think a lot of the conversation around the boycotting of certain companies and stuff is a little bit lame and a little bit misguided and whatever it may be. But I do respect a lot of the people who are having a stance in this, who are very vocal about it, and who are living what they say. You know what I mean? They're living their raps. They're boycotting all these companies. They're making it, they're making it known. And even if their favorite artist ends up linking up with them, because they're so kind of determined to have some sort of influence, some sort of say so in the end of the genocide over there in Palestine, they are willing to even cut, ties with their favorite artists if they link up with a company that they've kind of boycotted. You kind of have to respect that sort of level of resolve and determination. So when everyone turned against Stormzy, I could kind of understand why, because, you went from that to this. It's just a bit crazy. He decides to then release a statement on his Instagram to kind of explain why he basically made that decision. And in my opinion, again, the Instagram stories caption explanation is a little bit of a cowardly move, because you're not putting it on your feed. You're putting it on your story because you want people to read it, obviously. But then you also don't want it on your feed, like as a constant reminder that you had to like explain yourself and shit, or own up to whatever mistake that you made. And to be honest as well, there is no explanation that's going to make it okay, especially for the people who were happy and supported you more because they felt like you politically aligned with them. Now that they know that you don't anymore, they're going to be really heartbroken, because some people take politics and shit really seriously. And they obviously take the fucking genocide of the Palestinian people very seriously. They're going to be heartbroken, and they're never going to forgive you. So in short, I don't know who this statement was for. It was not needed. He should have just done the collaboration with Mcdonald's anyway and just kept it moving. He didn't need to try to explain it, because when he did try to explain it or offer some sort of context or whatever, it made things even worse. When at the time when he put out the statement, he said the following: "Hey guys, wanted to address some twisted narrative that has been circulating online this past week. Firstly, I didn't archive the post where I came out to support Palestine for any reason outside of me archiving a load of IG posts last year. In that post, I spoke about free Palestine, oppression, injustice, and my stance has not changed. So that's another detail that people also were really mad at, was that when he posted what he posted about Palestine, once he accepted that deal with McDonald's, he archived / deleted that post. So a lot of people were like, oh my God, like, you're a real hypocrite. You're a real sellout. You're a real piece of shit. Because number one, first of all, you're standing with Palestinian people. And then when it benefits you financially, you don't stand with them. And you then delete any trace of you standing with them and speaking up for them so that you can secure the bag. So all that stuff made things even worse than what it was, right? It continues, the brands I work with can't tell me what to do and don't tell me what to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't work with them. I do my own research on all brands I work with, gather my own information, form my own opinion, and come to my own conclusion before doing business. Which again comes off very arrogant. It comes off kind of gaslighty in a way. And it also kind of suggests that his research is better than the people who are anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, and their stance on boycotting McDonald's. He's almost saying as if, like, I did more research and I found out that there's no reason to boycott McDonald's. They did nothing wrong, did everything correct. Big up DSP, fuck DSP. It kind of sounds like that. So this statement was a really bad decision. It continues. He says, I'm writing this because I know there are people out there who have supported me and rooted for me who are generally confused and hurt by what they think has happened. And I want to give these people clarity, so I hope this helps. I understand it must feel disappointing and disheartening when it seems like someone you've championed has compromised their beliefs for commercial gain, but this isn't the case here. Of course it's the case. That's the thing as well. It's like, bro, I know there's no way of like saying it and not sounding like a piece of shit. There's no way where you can say, I've compromised and changed my beliefs for money. I'm a sellout. I've done it so I can kind of support my family. There's no excuse for it, but this is why I did it. There's no way to say it that's not going to make you sound bad or it's not make it, whatever. But there's no, like, trying to say that you didn't do that when that's exactly what you did is fucking crazy. Because if you didn't accept any money for it, it makes you look even worse, right? If you compromise your beliefs and you didn't receive any monetary benefit from it at all, it makes you look bad. If you did receive monetary benefit from it, it still makes you look bad. So either way, the best solution to go forward would be to just shut the fuck up and just, accept your lickings, accept that some people are never going to like you again, and it's fundamentally changed how you're going to be viewed by some people, but you're still going to have your fans who are going to rock with you. It's not that deep, you know what I mean? But I guess for whatever reason, this society we live in at the moment, people want to have their cake and eat it too. People want to have the ability to do and say what they want, but then they also want to make sure that they can convince you that what they did and say, what they said and did wasn't what they said and did, It's like, no, you don't get the chance to say that. You can say and do what you want. You can decide to change your principles, your morals, whatever, and do an about face and a 180, whatever you want to do. Cool. But then I'm well within my rights to change my support for you based on that, because my support for you was partly based on the fact that I thought that we politically, societally agreed on certain things. Now that I know that we don't, and we're not the same type of person, I'm not going to be a fan of you, but then you don't get to try to convince me or try and manipulate or gaslight me into thinking that I'm the problem and I haven't really understood it well. I thought this statement was in real bad faith. Like the other two things I don't really give a fuck about too much, but I thought this statement was a little bit insulting to the fans when it comes to Stormzy. It continues, it says, social media and the internet quickly pass judgment without full context. While I want to continue to be open and honest, I prefer not to respond immediately for every misunderstanding or clear up every false narrative that surrounds my name. Lots of love, Storms X. And again, it's too late now, isn't it? It's too late. The narrative is out there. There is no clearing up of a narrative because the narrative is the narrative. Because I hate that, by the way. That's another thing people do nowadays. Oh, you're taking it out of context. I mean, you're trying to run a narrative. It's like, no, sometimes the narrative is a narrative. Sometimes there is no context that's missing. The context is the context. Like, you did what you did, and it is what it is. Continuing on, Obviously you got some advertisement there of what he's done. And oh, sorry, you got some advertisements here that people were putting up at McDonald's, stickers that says, "We regret to inform you that Stormzy have sold out. Apologies for any disappointment." People put up these random stickers in protest of being anti-Stormzy at all these different drive-throughs in London, I'm assuming, or in the UK in general. But then the other thing that I think really isn't gonna help, isn't gonna sit well with people, is Stormzy's reaction to this, where he finally put it, on wax, put it in a lyric, in a tune, sorry. The tune's called Sorry Rach. I played it as my song of the day the other day because I'm not the biggest fan of Stormzy. I don't really listen to his music. And I thought this was one of the best ones I've heard from him in a long time, which makes sense as well. I've said it previously. I think most artists, when they go through a tough time, that's when they produce their best music. So it's no surprise that he's going through this cancellation, quote unquote. These fans are kind of turning against him. People are kind of writing him off. They're saying he's this, saying he's that. It's no surprise that he went into the booth and put together a song that I think, has some substance to it and definitely hits and bangs the way it probably should. The production helps, the music video helps, everything is fucking good with it. But there's a lyric here where he kind of mentions the controversy. It starts, I think one of the instances where he mentions it is the opening verse where he says, St. Nicholas couldn't have built code for court. St. Nicholas couldn't have built himself a code of court. If I need the money, I just go on tour. St. Nicholas couldn't have built himself a code of court. Nah. If I need the money, I just go on tour. So you get the feeling in this bar, he's almost insinuating that he didn't do the McDonald's collaboration for the money. Like, you're dumb if you think that. I didn't do it for the money. Which is also kind of dumb, because it's like, if you didn't do it for the money, then what do you do it for then? Did you compromise your beliefs? Compromise your principles? Did you turn your back on all those people that were supporting you way more because of your stance, against Israel, your stance for pro-Palestine? Like, you know what I mean? Like, does that make any sense? Unless maybe he means he did the deal with McDonald's to get like shares of it or something, or maybe as a look or something, or to promote like portion control, because I think his meal was just nuggets, right? Nuggets and fries. I think his meal was, right? Yeah. Maybe he thinks he's promoting portion control. Maybe it's kind of, I don't know what the point was, but that was a strange way to kind of go about it. But that was the first sort of indication that he's talking about the actual controversy that happened to him. And then if you scroll down, he continues and says the following. He says this: I heard they want to hang me out to drive. I heard they want to hang me out to drive for a nugget meal. The world might never love you your way again, but my mother will. One more time. I heard they want to hang me out to drive for a nugget meal. The world might never love your way again, but my mother will. Which again is a bit disingenuous, because he's the one that started it. Like, no one asked him. I don't think so. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not checking the guy's comments and shit, but I don't think there was a lot of pressure societally for him to come out and have a stance, whether it's pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. I don't think anyone was expecting him to do that, but he did. He came out, he had a very strong stance, free Palestine. The second post was about the oppression against all people, which I guess is relating to all the other atrocities that was happening at the same time that the Palestinian genocide was occurring. So essentially, he's standing in solidarity with all people who are being oppressed, which is a really, cool thing and a great thing to kind of stand up for, especially considering his level of celebrity. But no one was clamoring for him to say anything, really and truly. He went out there to say it. Then when he gets an opportunity to turn back on what he says for a check, he takes it. And then he's surprised at people's reaction against it or for that decision. Like, how could you be surprised? And no one's trying to hang you out. I think it's just the people that thought you were on their side are now saying you're not on their side anymore. But I think his actual fans, who are fans of the music, who don't really probably give a shit about his political leanings or what he gets up to in his personal life, they're probably not that bothered. I bet you they're not that bothered. I bet you the fans who actually support him and go to all these shows, I bet you those cats aren't bothered in the slightest. Not in the slightest. I bet you. So it's strange that he's doing this like weird, trying to make it seem as if like people are making up narratives and pushing a certain agenda. It's like, bro, you went out of your way to say that you're pro-Palestinian or pro-Palestine, and now all of a sudden you're changing your mind based on the check that you received. Fair enough. But this is not going to help the situation. And I'm wondering if there's like a way nowadays where you can sell out clearly, um, and also not have to do all this shit, not have to explain yourself, statements and shit, and just have people accept it for what it is or not. For me, it kind of is like similar to podcasts that have ads. Like there's one particular podcast I listen to at the moment called How Long Gone, one of my favorites I listen to. I've listened to the latest episode, but I listen to all the episodes usually. And one of the things I'm starting to hate about it recently was the number of ads. But if I don't like listening to the ads and the pods because they're not going to stop doing them because it makes the money, I get it. I'll just stop listening to the podcast overall. It'll be a sad thing because I'm enjoying it and it takes up, an hour of my day in terms of my entertainment and listening pleasures and shit. So it'd be sad to give it up. But if they keep hammering the pod with more ads or keep flooding it with more ads, there might come a time where I'll be like, you know what, I'm just not listening to this anymore because the experience isn't good, right? It doesn't fill me with joy anymore. And I think I'm within my right to do that. But I think people that own the podcast, they also within their right to have as many ads as they want if that's what they're about. So I think both people, can decide to do the type of thing. So I think in this particular case, if you're Stormzy, you can't be surprised that some people are really disappointed and pissed off that happened. It just is what it is. But for some reason, I guess he wants to try to have some level of control of the narrative, try to explain away his decision to make it make sense. It's like for the people who don't agree with you, it will never make sense. For the people that love your music, they don't give a fuck. So just focus on people that love your music. It's not really that big of a deal. But again, the only other side thing about the situation is that I think this tune might be one of Stormzy's best songs ever, in my opinion. And this is coming from somebody that's not the biggest Stormzy fan, which is again another sad thing in these situations where you go through a really hard time and you end up making some of the best art you've ever made. But unfortunately, you also have to pay a high price because you know for sure that in some people's eyes, Stormzy's legacy has been forever tainted because of this, There's no way you can ever come back from this with some people, especially considering how other people, maybe not artists, but other like social media figures and shit influencers are very vocally pro-Palestinian, like unapologetically. And then you got Stormzy here kind of, turning around and changing his mind, deleting posts and shit once he gets a check from McDonald's. It's kind of scummy, it's kind of grimy, but I guess that's the music industry. I guess that's the blood clot music industry.